This is an active rest day practice that incorporates dynamic mobility and static stretching. I've programmed this practice in the ovulatory phase to kind of help ease the transition from low to high hormones. But in reality, this can be practiced anytime throughout your cycle. And I encourage you to create a collection of rest day practices that will help you show up consistently. And what I find with these active rest day practices is when we kind of sprinkle these in and incorporate these periods of kind of intentional recovery, we start to look forward to the practice a little bit more. So on the days when we have active recovery, we're looking forward to that kind of shift, that downshift in pace and intensity. And then when we're recovered and well resourced, we then have the energy and the enthusiasm for the more intense workouts that are available. So I love having kind of a whole toolbox of active rest day practices to keep you showing up in a way that supports your physiology. In today's practice, we're working each of 12 mobility drills for 1 minute with just 20 seconds to kind of transition between exercises. And then we'll finish with 6 different static stretches with a focus on the lower body, so the hips and legs. This one is soothing, it's grounding, and it's a great way to balance out some of the higher intensity practices you might be using in the first half of the cycle. You won't need any equipment for this workout. You'll just need a comfortable place to move around, something a little bit soft. We'll be spending a lot of time in half kneeling and kneeling positions. And you'll also want to be positioned close to a wall for the end of the practice. We have some wall supported static stretches that will feel really good. And you'll want to have that cushion near the wall so that you can rest your knees or your sits bones on that cushion. And what I want most for you in this type of practice is to encourage that equal value for rest days and work days. So too often, I think, especially women, we think we have to show up at our max effort, max intensity every time. And I want to change that conversation a little bit, change that paradigm to where we give equal weight, equal value to our rest and recovery days. So this practice is designed to support that mindset shift so that you can allow your body to recover fully. So let's dive in. I will get our timer started. We'll have about 10 seconds before our first 1 minute interval. Each of these mobility exercises we're completing for a full minute with 20 seconds to transition. So our first movement pattern is spinal rolls. We're going to look all the way up, and then as you exhale, we'll start to take the chin to the chest, round the spine, gentle bend in the knees, come all the way down. Lower into a squat, your deepest squat, lift the heart and gaze, and then reverse it. So as you exhale, round the spine, bone by bone, nice and easy, roll up, keep the chin to the chest until the very top, then send your gaze skyward. Let's take that again, chin to chest, round in. So keep the body nice and curled in. You're keeping the chin close to the chest. Come into your squat, lift up, lift the chest and the gaze. And then as you exhale, roll round all the way up. Got time for about 1 more rep of these. Inhale, open, and exhale, round in. Come into your squat at the bottom, lift the heart and chest. And then bone by bone, we'll roll all the way up. For our next mobility drill, we are coming into a hip hinge with a swimmer for the shoulders. So we're going to, I'll demonstrate here during the rest period, reach the arms overhead, cross to opposite shoulders. So you're reaching fingertips to opposite shoulders. We're going to hinge at the hips and then swim the arms out wide, turn the palms to face in, cross to opposite elbows behind you. Let's do that again. Inhale, come up, take hands to opposite shoulders, find that cross, big stretch. And then as you exhale, swim the arms out and around, find opposite elbows. Reaching up, you can move slow or quick, whatever pace feels appropriate for you. But remember, the key to this session is recovery. So we want to be kind of staying in that lower intensity zone throughout. We're swimming, rotating. As you take opposite elbows, bring the elbows slightly down like you're moving them toward the earth. And come up, reach it overhead, opposite shoulders, and take it out and around. around. So again, as you come here, really wing the elbows down to stretch the front of the shoulder. We have about one more rep here, hands to opposite crisscross, and then reach it back. Take opposite elbows, wing the shoulders out. Come up and around, big breath in, and slowly release. We're moving next into alternating spider lunges. So you'll take the feet a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. We're going to come into a downward dog position. And to begin this stretch, we're going to take the heels up and bring the hips toward the heels, bend the knees deeply. And then step your left foot to the outside of left hand. You can take this deep lizard stretch or even twist open, whatever feels good. And then we'll switch. So we'll be here, just deepening that separation between the thigh bones, lifting the heart. Coming back through that launch, getting close to the ground, lifting up. You might even take a hand to the opposite knee. So bringing that hand down, press the thigh down and forward, twist into the upper back. Use your breath throughout this practice. So in and out through the nose very deeply. Again, to help regulate the central nervous system, to send the signal that it's okay to shift into rest and digest mode. So many of our workouts are that hermetic stress, that positive stress, that sort of stimulates our stress response for a short period of time, which is okay. But then we have to balance rest with equal parts of this more gentle practice. So we'll rest in downward dog here between exercises. Our next movement pattern, we're coming into a lunge, so you can take one foot forward, and then we'll take the back knee down here. We're going to start with a half kneeling windmill. So reach your arms overhead. Take the same side arm up as the foot that's forward. We're going to reach the opposite hand toward the inner edge of that foot. If available, bring your forearm down to the mat. Keep your opposite arm extending straight up. We reach back, come to center. So we're going to turn, bring the hand to the inner ankle, inner foot. Maybe bring forearm down to the mat. Opposite fingertips reach skyward. Coming back up. So we're just deepening that spider lunge that we had before. Now with a little bit of core integration, a little bit of balance side to side. These movements, these unilateral movements, are great for uniting left and right brains, so creating more connections between the hemispheres of the brain. We're here for about just over 5 more seconds. Coming up. 3, 2, and 1. Take your hands down to frame your front foot. And I want you to shift forward. You might come into kind of a dorsiflexion where your knee is tracking beyond the toes. That's okay for this stretch. Really feel the back hip flexor awaken. You feel that length. I want you to lift the gaze up here. And then as you exhale, start to straighten that front leg, but keep the foot planted. So keep the toes on the mat and then round your chin to chest. Come forward once again. Nice deep stretch. Inhale. So here we're looking to free the sciatic nerve, any areas that might be getting stuck. This is also known as nerve flossing, where we sort of allow the nerve to move freely inside the sheath. It can alleviate pain and inflammation. So we breathe in, and then as you exhale, again, keeping the toes firmly planted, you'll feel that stretch across the shin. Tuck your chin into your chest, round your upper back. Inhale, come forward. So it's different than the runner's lunge, where we're often kind of trying to avoid the round in the upper back. Here, we're really drawing the chin toward the chest. We're here for 5 more seconds. And come back to your tabletop position. So left knee joins the right. Let's bring the shoulders directly over the wrists. Hips are directly over the knees. Create a little bit of tone in the belly by hugging the hip points and the low ribs together. And then a micro bend in the elbow so that you're not hyperextending the joint. Bring your right hand behind your head. As you inhale, spin that elbow open while keeping the hips square. And then exhale, wrap that elbow under. Nice and easy. And then we'll switch. So right hand touches down, left hand behind the head. Open, really press that elbow skyward, wrap it under. So we're freeing the thoracic spine here and switch, looking to articulate those bones of the spine independent from the pelvis. So often the rib cage and the pelvis get sort of fused together in movement, and we lose that mobility between the segments of the spine. So here we're just allowing the thoracic spine to move on its own, the rib cage to move on its own. Controlled articular rotations, or CARs, sometimes referred to. These are so beneficial for maintaining the mobility of the different segments of the spine, the shoulders, and rest. We're going to come forward now with the opposite foot. So right foot steps forward. We'll repeat the same 2 exercises on this side. So you'll come into your half lunge position. You'll take the right arm, since the right foot is forward, reach that overhead. We're coming into our windmills first. So we take that left hand to the inseam of the right foot. Maybe bring the forearm down, just keep the right fingertip stretching skyward, and then slowly unfold. We come down, forearm touches the earth, and then reach it up and back. So feeling that little bit of rotation in the trunk, so in the torso, while keeping the hips square. This will challenge balance. And again, we're just looking to kind of allow the different segments of the spine, the hips, the shoulders, to move independently so they can experience that full range of motion as designed. Again, this is a recovery practice, so it should feel slow, smooth, and steady, where you can breathe easy throughout, and you're just working kind of in this lower intensity to help the body recover between sessions. Let's bring the hands now to frame the right foot. Come into your forward lunge and don't sweat it. Even welcome it for the knee to come beyond the toes. Lift up through the heart and chest. Gaze is up. And then we're going to work into that straight leg. So we flow it back, keep the toes planted, round the chin and chest. Inhale, come forward, lift the gaze, soften the hips toward the earth, and exhale, round, keep the toes pointed, chin to chest. So you should feel kind of that a little bit more freedom in the backs of the legs after this nerve flossing. Can help with any sciatica that you might be experiencing. And just really allowing the nerve to move freely, to get unstuck. This is one of my favorites, especially after the intense leg days that you might have enjoyed during the follicular and ovulatory phases. This is a great one to kind of allow your body to intelligently realign. So we create the space, we create the conditions that then allow the body to recover well, as it's designed to do. We're going to come into Sphinx pose next. So you can bring your right knee back behind you, lower all the way onto the belly. So we did the nerve flossing for the backs of the legs, and now we'll come down the front of the hips for the femoral nerve. So Sphinx pose here. We have the elbows under the shoulders. We're drawing them back. We're simply going to look up and lift a leg back. It doesn't have to be a high lift. And then as you exhale, come down, keep the knees grounded, round in, chin to chest. We'll switch sides now. Lift the heart and gaze. Opposite leg extends. Doesn't have to lift a lot. And then you exhale, round in. Come back. So we're looking to avoid any strain. So really just a tiny lift there, and then rounding chin to chest. So here we're allowing the femoral nerve that kind of goes through the hip and innervates the legs. We're again looking to free that nerve inside the sheath so that it can move, it doesn't get stuck. A lot of times when there's nerve impingement, we see the muscles tighten up to protect it. That muscle tension then can create inflammation, and the end result can be pain. So here we're just looking to alleviate some of that. Next one, we're going to come up into a kneeling position. I'll turn to face you here. I'll be opposite you in movement. We're going to take the arms out to T, turn the palms to face away from you. Then we're going to turn the right fingertips back, left fingertips forward. And as you do this, bring your right ear to your right shoulder. Then we'll switch. So we'll take the left fingertips back, left ear to left shoulder, right fingertips forward. We're releasing the median nerve now that goes down from the neck into the arms. So again, here, just the fingertips that are facing back, you're moving the head in that direction. And just alternating sides here. Again, this shouldn't feel like your sort of maximum expression of the stretch. You want to be kind of in that nice low intensity, low exertion, just kind of gradually freeing the nerves here, allowing them to move and to communicate with the rest of the body as intended. We'll be here for a few more breaths. We have just a few more of these mobility drills before we will shift into some static stretching that should feel really good. Last 2 and 1. We'll come down from our kneeling position into sort of this clover or figure 4 shape, knees to one side or the other. We have a couple of different options. You can support your fingertips behind you, or you can bring your hands to your chest. If you're bringing hands to chest, bring the elbows in together. We're going to move into the shin box. So we come onto the shins, we'll open in that nice chest fly, come back to center and switch. We come up, shin box with extension and open. So again, here you're supporting with the hands behind you if you need to. Opening up, chest fly, and then closing to come back through center. Working toward performing this one without the hands is going to be so vital for your hip mobility. This is a great one to practice, just that primal movement of moving from the floor to standing without assistance. So the fewer points of contact that you have with the floor as you move from a seated to a standing position, the greater the longevity in terms of mobility and your physicality. So this is a great one to continue as we move into strength training as well, so that we're not limiting our mobility. From here, we're coming into crab reaches. So you're going to come into an upward tabletop position. We're going to take the fingertips to face behind you. So you have full external rotation in the shoulder, fingertips facing the back. Bring one hand to chest. And then as you exhale, lift up and toward the opposite side. So you're sort of a back bend with that slight rotation. Switch sides, lift up and over. So we're lifting the hips toward the sky, really engaging the glutes, but all the while keeping the hip points and the low ribs magnetized together. So we're looking not to overarch or create any strain in the lower back, but we're just looking for that length between the bones of the spine as we move into full extension of the spine, external rotation of the shoulders. This is a great one if you're looking to deepen a back bending practice. It's a great way to open the front line of the body. Keep the knees facing forward and hugging in so that you have the hips pointing straight up and the pelvis doesn't rotate. Here, we're just lifting straight up and back. Last 2 and 1. From here, we're going to shift to your wall space. Make sure that you have a little bit of cushion under your knee. Let's bring the left knee back first. So we're going to take that knee to the wall. Opposite foot comes forward. And then you can slowly work your way up. So you want your shin straight up and down on the wall, the knee touching the baseboard. And then you can bring your hands to your front knee and slowly, gradually begin to press up. This should create some pretty intense sensation, and that's okay. We're really creating length and stretch in the hip flexor of that back leg. You can heel toe your foot a little bit closer. Ultimate goal is to bring the shoulders to the wall. If you want to deepen the sensation in the hip flexor in front of the thigh, engage your glutes, almost like you're trying to tuck the tailbone under or engage that left glute. Keep the spine lifting straight up, aiming the shoulders toward that back wall, maybe even pressing the elbows in here. And breathe through the sensation. So sometimes in these deeper static stretches, you might feel that kind of alarm response first, where the body tenses up in the presence of that sensation. And this is where the breath can help to kind of relax those muscles. So we have a 20-second transition here. We're going to slowly come out of this stretch. We'll take the right knee to join the left, and we'll come into a Sphinx pose. So we'll be on the mat here in your Sphinx pose, just bringing the forearms down to the earth, energetically drag the forearms back toward you. So I want you to lift up through the heart, press back with your shins into the wall. Keep your hips grounded, rooting into the earth firmly. You can even hug the inner thighs energetically toward each other. Keep the toes stretching up the wall here. Press down through the forearms, lift up through the heart. Nice deep stretch for the low spine, the hip flexors. This is a great release, especially for movements like squats, lunges, our hip hinges, anything where we are creating flexion in the hip. So where the hip crease is bent, now we're doing the opposite. We're allowing it to extend. So this can be a nice one to relieve lower back pain and to just help those kind of primal compound movements in the legs to help you do those more efficiently. We're going to slowly transition, come out, and we'll switch sides now. So the right knee comes towards where the wall meets the floor. Send your shins straight up, toes pointing straight up. Bring your left foot forward, and then nice and easy. So let there be no rush as you come up into this deep quad stretch, King Arthur pose in a yoga practice. So we're hugging the right glute toward the right heel, pressing into the wall, moving the shoulders as close as you can back toward that wall, using the hands to press the left thigh down and away. Again here, where can you send that signal with the breath that it's okay to release? Tuck the tail gently under, deepen that stretch. Where you can, lengthen your exhales. That will help drop you into the relaxation response and help you release in the presence of this pretty intense stretch. We'll be here just a few more seconds before transitioning to a seat. So you can start to take your hands down here. We'll come onto the knees, cross at the ankles to come into a seat. And here we're wanting to bring the back all the way onto the wall now, so your hips can be as close to the wall as they'll go. Again, I'll be opposite you in movement. We're going to cross the right ankle over the left knee. This might be a lot right out the gate. I'm definitely feeling it already. So you can work with the bend in that left leg, either lessening to kind of release the sensation or heel toeing that foot a little bit closer in to bring the shape of your right leg closer to your body. Once you're there, press your shoulders into the wall. Heel toe a little bit closer. Maybe circle the ankle to increase and encourage circulation through the leg here as we stretch that outer hip. You can even gently rock side to side, giving again a little bit of that flossing action for the sciatic nerve here. Freeing any tension you might be holding in the outer hips. And we're here just about 15 more seconds. So enjoy the deep breath here, the deep sensation. And then we'll slowly transition, release your right foot, and just notice the difference you feel from side to side. And then in another few seconds, we are going to switch sides here. So you might just windshield wiper the knees side to side for a moment, maybe enjoy kind of a butterfly stretch to let that go. Then we'll cross the left ankle over right knee. This one's super intense. So you can keep that foot far away from you to lessen the intensity, draw it close to you to increase the sensation. Again, here, maybe circling the ankle, just kind of adding these little movements in the static stretch that help you relax into it. Maybe heel toeing the foot a little bit closer. Keep your spine nice and upright, pressing into that wall. Dial the knee open. You might rock side to side. Definitely in this follicular phase, worked a little bit harder with the strength, especially in the lower body. So this is feeling very nice for the outer hips. I hope you're feeling that too. We're here just 5 more seconds, and then we'll close with a straddle stretch, and you will be on your way. We'll take the feet down again, just a little bit of a butterfly or windshield wiper side to side to release that stretch. Then we'll take the legs out as wide as feels comfortable. So again, in these recovery practices, the static stretching, we're looking for sensation, but not to the extreme. So we'll take the toes up, hug them toward your shins, walk your hands out any amount. I like to rest my forearms on the mat, or if you need it, you can bring them up on a cushion. You can even be on a chair if this is pretty intense for you. You can bend the knees a little bit more if you need to. Make sure that you're tilting the pelvis slightly forward, pressing down through the backs of the knees energetically to feel that stretch through the inner thighs, the groin, the pelvic floor. Relax any tension in the neck and shoulders. Let the head be heavy. Turn inward and breathe. You might circle the ankles here. We're here just a few more moments together. And then we'll slowly start to bring the body back up. You can come to your comfortable seat here. And just enjoy a quick body scan. Maybe you still have your back up against the wall for full support. You might close your eyes gently and just check in with how you're feeling now. A lot of times with this mobility and the nerve work, you might start to feel just that little current of calm, kind of like a wave washing over you. So just give yourself a moment to absorb that here, carry it with you. And I encourage you to give equal value to this type of movement, this gentle, low intensity, this central nervous system focused movement. Give equal value to this as you do your sweatiest, most intense, most high energy sessions. I think too often we get lost in this mode of kind of prioritizing the work and then deprioritizing the recovery, when really this is where your results happen. This is where the change occurs, is when we give ourselves, our bodies, time to heal and to recover from the training stimulus. So I want to thank you so much for showing up for yourself in this way, for being here with me, and for letting your body be moved.